Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as the week comes to a quiet end, I decided today, well, there isn't much to talk about, we would recap some things as we head ever deeper into this transfer window. Let's look at all the players who have been linked with the club over the past few weeks and months and decide whether or not Celtic are on the right track to improving this team for the 2025-26 campaign. What I'm basically saying is, I have nothing to talk about, so let's do a tier list. You know how I work by now. If you haven't already, please go down below and hit like and subscribe. We are just over 200 subscribers away from 50,000 subs. We're about to become the first Celtic fan-led channel on the platform to reach that milestone. So please get down below, hit both those buttons. It's absolutely free. Today we're ending the week with a tier list because there's nothing else to talk about. So bear with me. So the anxiety amongst the Celtic supporters is already starting. If you look underneath each Celtic social media post on Twitter or wherever else, you'll notice that people are already demanding players to be signed. And what I will say is, not to sound like a happy clapper and not to make excuses, be patient. We are barely into the summer window. In fact, the summer window officially opens on the 12th of June across Europe, so there's still time to go. People are still on their holidays, and I know people are saying, well, we said this last year and we left it late. I get that, I understand that, but give it till the end of next week and then we can maybe let the anxiety build. So today, with not much to talk about, we're going to recap all the names that have been linked with us thus far. I have already done my two-part transfer special where I look at the Celtic squad as it currently stands and where we need to improve on that squad. And I think it's very clear where Celtic need to make signings, and the signs of that have already been seen in the players linked with us. It's been reported a number of times that we've looked at left-backs, a number of times that we're looking at strikers. It's very clear and obvious where Celtic need improvement, and I think the club know that themselves. So we're going to get up the list of all the players linked with us in the last couple of months. We're going to go through them all, and we're going to decide if they're good enough to be at Celtic or not. You know what I'm saying. So here we are with my trusty tier list in front of me. Sounds like I'm about to do a tier list about Austin Trusty. Anyway, every player that's been linked with the club in the last couple of months is down below. Celtic have been linked with 12 players thus far, or at least 12 players that I deem realistic transfer links. There is players that you'll see mentioned with us in the forums and maybe through some unreliable outlets, but these are the 12 players that I think are genuinely targets for the club. So I know you might be down below going, oh, what about this guy or that guy? I'm trying to keep it realistic, and in my opinion, these are the realistic targets. And before you start your moaning in the comments section, because I know some people just love to start moaning before we even get talking, this is the crop of players that have been linked with the club thus far. I know that some people will be desperate to say that these guys aren't good enough, that it's a disappointing list of players. What are the club doing recruitment-wise if this is the players we're linked with? It's the 6th of June as I record this video. The 6th of June. And if I was to be brutally honest with you, this video is just for fun more than anything. Out of these 12 players down below, I wouldn't be surprised if only one was to become a Celtic player this summer. Christ, I wouldn't be surprised if 0 of them became Celtic players this summer, because it's the 6th of June. The links will continue to come out, and I think the ones that have most credibility in them and most likeliness in them are yet to come. So keep that in mind. Today is genuinely for a bit of fun more than anything, and I think we can remove ourselves from the serious nature of things for 10 minutes. So the columns are self-explanatory as always. It goes from throw the money at them. These are players that I think Celtic must do their best to sign in this window, and no thanks. Quite literally, no thanks. I wouldn't thank you for them. So, let's go through all these players and let's try and do this as quickly as possible. So we start with Serbian centre half and currently at Red Star Belgrade or Crvena Zvezda, Veljko Milosavljevic, who was linked with the club a couple of weeks ago. Reports emerged from Serbia that Celtic have been inquiring and maybe already bidded for the young centre half, who they demand a fee of around €10 million for. Now, this is a 17-year-old centre-half who has only just came into the first team at Crvena Zvezda. I think he's played something like 12 times, and don't get me wrong, looks a talent and looks as though he has a lot of potential, but for €10 million, I'm not going to lie, I'm putting him in no thanks to kick us off. I just can't justify Celtic spending 10 million euros on a 17-year-old centre half, no matter how good he looks at the minute. It's just got the makings of a disaster. And I look at the likes of Austin Trusty, who was spent £6 million on. If this boy did not get off to a flyer and show that he's the best centre half the club's ever seen, folk would want him out the door instantly. This is somebody who I could see in a few years' time playing for a decent sized club, and Celtic fans going, oh, we should have done it, we should have paid the money. But hindsight is so good, isn't it? Celtic cannot blow what would be a good portion of the budget on a 17-year-old centre half. The defence needs experience, it needs proven quality, it needs somebody to partner Cameron Carter-Vickers in the Champions League nights with assurance. And yeah, this lad at a young age might have that. If you're good enough, you're old enough. But I don't think that 15 games in his senior career is enough to suggest that. I don't think this is one Celtic should go near for the minute. And if that's where they have their fee right now, it's just too far out Celtic's park. You will notice we're doing this in positional order, because next we head over to the left backs, which is a position we've spoke about more than most so far this window. And we start with Harley Mills, the Peterborough left back, who's been linked in the last few days. Apparently Celtic are looking at potentially making him a target. Fulham have apparently bidded £1 million. Peterborough are well aware of Celtic's interest, so I think that his fee will go up a little bit. I don't think that anybody will be able to land him for £1 million if Peterborough are aware that there's interest. For me, I think with Harley Mills, he wouldn't be my first choice, but I'd be okay with him coming in and being back up. Ultimately, the situation is this. Kieran Tierney is Celtic's starting left back. Kieran Tierney is arguably the best player in the outfield 11 when fit. So whoever comes in here is the understudy to him, but with Kieran Tierney's injury record, with his fitness record, will play a lot of football this season. I think that the backup left back is going to start 15 to 20 games. I really do. So it is important that we get somebody good and somebody who is going to develop. I just think that there will be better out there than Harley Mills, so he wouldn't be my first choice, and I'll tell you for why. Because with the names linked so far, I would much rather Keita Kasugi, the Japanese left back currently playing for Djurgårdens in Sweden. Big take for me. Would I throw the money at them? I'm not going to quite put them up there yet, because I think there is more left backs to be linked with the club in this window. But 19 years of age, Japanese player who has been looked at by teams as big as PSG, the European champions. A lot more experience at professional level than Harley Mills as well. I think that if it was out of these two, I know who I'd be taking, and it'd be Keita Kasugi. I think that you'd have to shell out a few more £1 million for him, but I think it could be definitely worth it in the long run. So he would be the big take for me when it comes to left backs, and I think the chances are very slim of us being able to sign him if bigger clubs are interested. But who knows? Maybe he looks at the likes of Hatate, Kyogo and Maeda and goes, Celtic's a place to go. We can only wait and see. To round up left backs, we have Jeffrey Schlupp, who I'm just going to put in the not arsed column. I've put not arsed / need better. He goes into the not arsed section. Which might be surprising to some of you, because when we first signed him and he first started playing for the club, I was the one out here screaming his praises and talking about how good he was and how much of an upgrade he was in Greg Taylor. But I don't think he applied himself to the end of the season, to be quite honest. And ultimately, I just don't think the club are in for him anyway. I think he'll move on elsewhere. He is a free agent. He'll probably have options down south. Yeah, I'm just not arsed. If he came back, I wouldn't be arsed. Either side, I wouldn't be delighted and I wouldn't be disappointed. I think he'd do a fine job being back up to Tierney. I want us to be a wee bit more ambitious. On to midfielders, and I've made my thoughts perfectly clear about this one. There's not even a point in me sitting here all day. Throw the money at them. Give Motherwell every penny they want and make Lennon Miller a Celtic player in this transfer window. The conversation surrounding Lennon Miller's name has been eerily quiet the last week or two. I haven't heard much about him going anywhere, but he will move. Just the question is, will it be Celtic? I think we need to throw the money at them. I think we need to throw the money at him. I would make him a priority in this window, and I know everybody's not on board with that, but I will happily steer that train. I will happily be the pilot. I want Lennon Miller to be a Celtic player, and I want us to throw the money. Yeah, there's no point in me wasting more time here. The only defensive midfielder, an out-and-out defensive midfielder we've been linked with so far is Kalidou Sidibe, who is currently playing with Guingamp in France, 2nd Division League 2. I'm going to put him in here. Wouldn't be my first choice. Now, I made it perfectly clear that I think this centre defensive midfield situation isn't exactly easy to navigate. With Callum McGregor basically holding down the fort there, I don't see that changing this season. And I think it's hard to attract somebody to come in and play that backup role to the captain. So I don't really know what direction we head in here. I think that Sidibe looks fine. I think he's got the attributes of the kind of player you'd want in terms of height, strength, physicality in a player. But I think technically there's probably a lot better out there. So he wouldn't be my first choice. But I don't know too much about him. I don't sit and watch League 2 every week. I think we're all just waiting for that kind of blockbuster centre mid to pop up. We seem to get linked with one every year. It's never going to happen, may I add. You know, the likes of Fabian Reeder, who we've been linked with in years gone by. I think we're waiting for that central midfielder to pop up. It was Arne Engels last year. It was Reeder the year before that. Yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice. Wingers. We know that Celtic will be signing a winger in this window. The question is, who will that winger be? We'll start with the one that's been linked with us for a year now, Michel-Ange Balikwisha. He goes into big take. I wouldn't quite go as far as throw the money, because I still have slight reservations. Number one, I think his contract hasn't got long left, which means throwing the money would be maybe a bit foolish, you know, when that's not necessary. Number two, his injury history and the injuries he's picked up in recent memory do play a slight concern in my mind when we talk about Michel-Ange Balikwisha. But as a player, he looks great. He looks really, really good, and I think he would be magic for us. So it would be a big take. I just wouldn't go as far to say that throwing the money is the wisest thing to do. So yeah, I hope we get him. I hope we get him, but I hope we're reasonable in getting him. He's the one out of all these players that I think is most likely to join Celtic this summer. Two other wingers we've been linked with. This one seems to have died a little bit. Tyrese Dolan. I would put him into the not arsed section. Not because of him necessarily, but it looks as though he's going to stay down in England. I think Norwich have made it a priority to sign him. I don't think he'll be a Celtic player. And I'm not arsed, so I'm just being honest. It's not like I read that article about him maybe going to Norwich and went, oh, it's a shame. So if I'm just being brutally honest, I'm not arsed about Tyrese Dolan. I think he would have been a good pickup on a free, to be fair. In terms of depth, I think that would have been a smart signing if you're wanting to look at things financially, but I'm not on the board, so finances don't matter to me. Yeah, not arsed. And finally, Sondre Orjaseter, who... do you know what? I'm going to put him up here. If it was between him and Balikwisha, I'd be happy with any of them, to be quite honest. I'd lean more towards Balikwisha, but Sondre Orjaseter is somebody who looks really good. And as I've said before, his attitude goes a long way. We spoke about the interview a few weeks ago where he said he could have become a Celtic player in January and actually thought he was going to become a Celtic player in January, but he didn't want to go because he's not ready yet. He wants to keep himself around the right people, around his family, his friends and stuff like that. It's very refreshing to see a young player say that in this day and age when it's all about the money and the big moves and the stepping stones to the bigger leagues. He's willing to keep himself up where he is just now in Norway, I believe, to better himself, and I like that about him. So, big take for me. If we're still interested, as I've already mentioned, we were very, very close to signing him in January, which means he is on the club's radar. And I think we should maybe ask the question again. I don't know, depending on fees and stuff like that. Yeah, he would be in the big take category for me. Which brings us on to the last position to talk about in terms of players we've been linked with so far. It's strikers, and let's just get this one done and out the way. Matthias Wiesgaarden. Christ, if we talk about him anymore, we're going to become him. I think. So, Matthias Wiesgaarden, throw the money. He needs to be Celtic's top target in my eyes. Him or Lennon Miller, I think, should be the priority for this window. Now, the Daily Record wrote a story last night which has implied that Celtic are thinking about a £12 million bid. That would make him the club's record signing. It would make him the biggest gamble in the club's history as well. You would demand a 30-goal season for that sort of price. But I think it's one that we should do, man. I think it is one. If I was to sit here with a straight face and tell you honestly, do I think that £12 million should be spent on Matthias Wiesgaarden? I would tell you yes. Simple as that. I think that this guy has a limitless potential at the minute. And I think that this guy is somebody who would come in and ultimately be a top striker for us. Would we hold him for more than a couple of years? Maybe not, but we'd make good profit on him if he came in and banged the goals. We'd have all the cards to play with. So I'd throw the money. And I hope that there's truth in that Daily Record article last night saying that we're contemplating the £12 million bid. We face stiff competition. Ultimately, do I think he'll become a Celtic player? No. But I would love to bloody see it. Which kind of spoils the next two strikers, because I've made it very clear who my first choice is, and that's Matthias Wiesgarden. So I think it's very simple just to put these two into the same category themselves right now, and that's Yusuf El Kachati of the second division Dutch side, Telstar, and David Strelic of Slovan Bratislava. I'm putting both of them into wouldn't be first choice, because I just want us to go all out on Wiesgarden. I know that might be quite boring for you to listen to me say, but it's just as simple as that for me. I think that both of these guys look like good strikers, and I think I'd be happy with any of them signing. They're proven goal scorers, and that's what you want in a striker ultimately. But I think that Wiesgarden is the guy, man. I think he is. So they wouldn't be my first choice. And that's not me trying to downplay any potential signing of them. It's just me being basically honest. But I'd welcome any of the two. So there you go. There is the final list as we rank Celtic's targets so far, or reported targets, I must say, in this window. We're going to see this list grow and grow and grow. I mean, God, we've got 12 just now. This time in maybe 3 or 4 weeks, that list will go from 12 to 24. And hopefully, we will have maybe 1 or 2 signings through the door as well. But I would say that the crop of players we've been linked with so far is pretty good. And even, I've got your man Milosavijevic down here at the bottom. But that's not because of him. That's because of the price that's attached to him. I think these are all good enough players, and it shows that Celtic are looking at high calibre players in this transfer window, which is the most important thing. So, there you go. Hope you've enjoyed that. So let me know your opinions and thoughts in the comments section below. Hopefully it's only a matter of time before the first concrete rumour gets going and Celtic have signed their first player of the window. Please remain patient for the next week or so. Don't get your knickers in a twist. Don't lose the rag. Everybody's still on their holidays, right? Give him 5 minutes to get back. Let Rodgers get back from wherever he may be, right? Just behave. Calm down. If you've enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.